The champagne flute shattered against the hardwood floor of the old barn like a gunshot in the quiet aftermath of the vows. Shards scattering like the fragments of Jake's heart he'd buried years ago. "Fuck love," he muttered under his breath, the words tasting like ash as the bride's laughter echoed from the dance floor, oblivious to the wreckage at his feet. In that split second, eyes locked across the crowded reception, storm gray meeting wide, wounded blue, and Jake knew his carefully constructed walls were about to crack wide open. It was supposed to be a simple weekend getaway to the Hudson Valley, a begrudging nod to family duty. Jake Harlan, 32 and jaded as a Wall Street trader after the market crash, had sworn off romance like he'd sworn off cheap whiskey. His last boyfriend, a slick Manhattan lawyer named Derek, had ghosted him mid-pandemic, leaving behind a sublet apartment and a string of unanswered texts that still haunted Jake's deleted folder. Love? It was a sucker's bet, a rigged game where the house always won. So he'd thrown himself into his graphic design gig at a Brooklyn startup, sketching logos for craft breweries and indie bands, nights blurring into mornings with craft IPAs and Netflix binges. No entanglements. No expectations. Just the steady hum of solitude in his Bushwick loft, where the subway rattled like a distant heartbeat he no longer chased. But blood was thicker than bourbon, and when his older brother, Ethan, announced his engagement to Sarah, a bubbly elementary school teacher with a laugh like wind chimes, Jake couldn't bail. Ethan, the golden boy who'd escaped their upstate roots for a tech job in Seattle, deserved this. Their parents, retired in a split-level rancher outside Albany, were over the moon. "It'll be good for you, Jakey." Their mom had cooed over FaceTime, her eyes crinkling with that maternal hope Jake had learned to deflect. "Weddings are magic. You'll see." The drive up from the city had been a slog. Leaf-peeping traffic clogging the Taconic Parkway. Radio flipping between NPR fun drives and classic rock anthems that twisted the knife of nostalgia. Jake arrived at the Vineyard Estate just as the sun dipped low, casting the rows of Chardonnay vines in amber light. The barn, a restored relic from the 1800s, smelled of aged oak and fresh hay, fairy lights strung like constellations across the rafters. Guests milled about in linen suits and floral sundresses, toasting with flutes of the house bubbly. Ethan clapped him on the back, grinning ear to ear in his navy tux. "You made it, bro. Thought you'd bail for some deadline. Wouldn't miss it," Jake lied, forcing a smile as he scanned the crowd. Familiar faces from childhood barbecues dotted the lawn, cousins nursing beers, aunts fanning themselves with the program. And then there was Kyle, Ethan's best man, a lanky photographer from Portland with freckles like cinnamon dust and a camera slung around his neck like a talisman. Kyle had crashed at Jake's place once during a layover, the two of them splitting a pizza and debating Scorsese films till dawn. Easy camaraderie, no sparks. Safe. Sarah's side brought the strangers, her sorority sisters from Vassar, a gaggle of yoga instructors and nonprofit types, all glowing with that effortless millennial optimism Jake envied and resented. He nursed a gin and tonic at the edge of the ceremony. The officiant, a silver-haired Unitarian minister with a voice like warm gravel, waxing poetic about eternal flames and shared horizons. Ethan and Sarah exchanged rings under a floral arch heavy with peonies, their vows soft and sincere, pulling at something raw in Jake's chest. He shifted in his seat, the wooden pew creaking like his resolve. That's when he first noticed him. Wesley. Not crashing in like a wave, but slipping in sideways, a shadow at the back row with hunched shoulders and eyes fixed on the ground. Mid-20s, maybe, with tousled blonde hair that caught the late sun like wheat fields, dressed in a rumpled gray suit that hung loose on his frame, as if tailored for someone who'd since faded. He wasn't crying, not yet, but his jaw was clenched, knuckles white around a crumpled napkin. Jake's gaze lingered a beat too long, curiosity pricking like a thorn. Who invites a ghost to a wedding? The reception kicked off with a bluegrass band covering Johnny Cash, the dance floor filling with tipsy two-steps. Jake stuck to the perimeter, chatting up distant relatives about the Mets' dismal season and the latest TikTok trends he pretended to follow. Kyle found him by the dessert table, piling his plate with lemon bars. "Dude, you look like you swallowed a lemon." "Loosen up, it's a party." "Easier said," Jake replied, eyes drifting back to Wesley, now isolated at a high-top table, staring into his untouched sparkling water like it held the secrets of the universe. "Who's the brooding type? Sarah's cousin or something?" Kyle followed his line of sight, chuckling low. "Wes? Nah. He's Ethan's old college roommate from NYU. Wesley Grant." They bonded over bad poetry slams and worse hangovers. "Haven't seen him since graduation. Guy's been off the grid in Chicago. Some finance gig. Word is, he just got dumped. Hard. Like, eloped and jilted dumped." Jake's stomach twisted, unbidden empathy surfacing. "Ouch. That's wedding kryptonite. Tell me about it." Ethan's been trying to drag him into the fun, but Wes is a black hole tonight. Kyle clapped Jake's shoulder. "Your mission, should you choose to accept it, play wingman. Get him a drink. Save the vibe." Jake snorted, but the seed was planted. He watched Wesley for another song cycle, the way he flinched at every burst of laughter, how his fingers drummed a restless tattoo on the tablecloth. It was like looking at a funhouse mirror of his own post-Derek days, hollowed out, armored up. Before he could overthink it, Jake grabbed 2 fresh gins from the bar, weaving through the crowd. Up close, Wesley was sharper, high cheekbones shadowed with stubble, lashes clumped from unshed tears, lips pressed thin. He looked up as Jake approached, surprise flickering in those blue depths like a struck match. "Hey," Jake said, sliding the drink across the table with a casualness he didn't feel. "You look like you could use this. Or a time machine. Your pick." Wesley blinked, a ghost of a smile tugging at his mouth before it vanished. "Thanks. But I've got enough regrets without adding gin to the list." His voice was soft, Midwestern lilt, Illinois flatlands, Jake guessed, with an undercurrent of gravel from too many unslept nights. "Fair. Water it is, then." Jake pulled up a stool anyway, uninvited but undeterred. "I'm Jake. Ethan's brother. The one who designs album covers for bands you've never heard of." "Wesley," he replied, extending a hand that trembled just slightly. "Cool. Callous palms, guitar strings or spreadsheets. Old roommate. The one who once set fire to the dorm microwave trying to make ramen." Jake laughed, genuine this time, the sound cutting through the band's twangy rendition of Ring of Fire. "Heroic. So, what's the story? You plotting an escape via the dessert cart?" Wesley's gaze dropped to his hands, twisting the napkin into origami ruin. "Something like that. Weddings. They're a minefield when your own blew up last month." He paused, breath hitching. "Fiancé bailed. Day of. Said he couldn't do forever after all. Left me at the altar in a rented tux, holding a bouquet of calla lilies like a fucking idiot." The words landed like a sucker punch, raw and unfiltered. Jake's throat tightened. Memories of Derek's curt email. I need space. Man. It's not you. This timing flooding back. Shit. I'm sorry. That's not a dump. That's a demolition. Yeah. Wesley's laugh was bitter, hollow. Came here thinking it'd be cathartic. See love done right. Instead, it's just salt in the wound. He glanced at the dance floor, where Ethan twirled Sarah under the lights, her head thrown back in joy. Your brother's got it figured out. Makes it worse. Jake leaned in, elbows on the table, voice dropping conspiratorial. Don't let the Instagram filter fool you. Ethan's on wife number 2. Sarah's the keeper, but he burned one bridge already. Love's a crapshoot, man. Rigged odds. Shitty payouts. Wesley's eyes met his again, searching, a spark of recognition igniting. Cynic much? What's your excuse? Divorced at 25. Worse. Jaded serial dater. Last guy pulled the fade out during lockdown. Now I stick to takeout and true crime pods. Safer that way. Jake shrugged, but the admission felt lighter, shared weight lifting. For the first time, Wesley's posture eased, shoulders dropping a fraction. Sounds familiar. Post-dump protocol. Delete contacts. Binge carbs. Swear off suits forever. He gestured to his own rumpled attire. Nailed the last one. They talked then, words tumbling like dominoes. Wesley's Chicago winters in a high-rise overlooking Lake Michigan. Crunching numbers for a hedge fund that devoured souls. Jake's Brooklyn hustle. Dodging hipster bars and existential dread. Laughter crept in, tentative at first, then fuller, as the band shifted to slower tunes. Kyle shot Jake a thumbs up from across the room, mouthing attaboy. By the time the cake was cut, 3 tiers of vanilla sponge with buttercream roses, Wesley had downed half his gin, color returning to his cheeks. You know, he said, fork hovering over a slice. You're dangerously good at this. Making disaster feel survivable. Jake's pulse kicked up, a forbidden thrill. Just paying it forward. Or backward. Whatever keeps the wolves at bay. As the night deepened, stars pricking the velvet sky beyond the barn doors, Jake felt the first fracture in his armor, a warmth spreading from his chest, unbidden and terrifying. Wesley's hand brushed his under the table, accidental or not, and neither pulled away. The band crooned Wonderwall, and Jake thought, just for a heartbeat, that maybe the house didn't always win. But dawn brought clarity, and with it, the hangover of hope. Jake woke in his guest room at the inn down the road, sheets tangled, phone buzzing with Ethan's thank you text. Great job with Wes. Guy needed that. He stared at the ceiling beams, heart pounding. What the hell was he doing? Flirting with a fresh wound? He was supposed to be the steady one, the fixer-upper, not the fool falling again. Still, when Wesley texted coffee before the drive back, Jake replied hell yes without hesitation. They met at a roadside diner off Route 9. Vinyl booths cracked and coffee black as sin. Wesley looked wrecked but resolute, hair finger-combed, suit jacket slung over his arm. Last night was a lifeline, he admitted over scrambled eggs. Haven't laughed like that since, well, before. Mutual, Jake said, stirring sugar he didn't take. Brooklyn's got diners, but none with your vibe. Wesley's foot nudged his under the table, Deliberate this time. Chicago's got deep dish. And me, if you're ever out that way. The invitation hung. Electric. Jake's mind raced. Logistics. Risks. The ghost of Derek whispering run. But Wesley's eyes held steady. Blue as Lake Michigan on a clear day. And Jake found himself nodding. Count on it. They parted with a hug that lingered. Wesley's cologne, cedar and citrus, clinging like a promise. Jake drove back to the city with the windows down, wind whipping through, Tom Petty blasting Learning to Fly. For the first time in years, the road ahead didn't feel like a dead end. Little did he know, the map was riddled with detours. Wesley's ex, turned out, wasn't done mining old veins. And Jake's own scars? They ran deeper than he'd admitted, barbed wire waiting to snag. Weeks blurred into a rhythm Jake hadn't known he craved. Late-night texts that stretched till 2 a.m., Wesley's voice notes laced with dry wit, recounting boardroom blunders or jazz club finds in Wicker Park. Heard this sax player who sounds like Heartbreak on vinyl, Wesley would say, audio crackling with city hum. Jake fired back sketches, digital doodles of imagined dates. A skyline picnic under the bean. Captioned your move, Grant. It was flirtation distilled, safe across state lines, until Ethan texted, Wes crashing in NYC next month for a conference. Hook up? Jake's thumbs hovered, pulse sinking to the subway's rumble. Hell yeah. Dinner? The reply pinged instant. Make it reservations. I'm buying. Wesley arrived on a rainy Thursday. Penn Station a chaos of umbrellas and exhaust. Jake spotted him first, dripping wet, duffel slung over shoulder, that same gray suit upgraded to slim-fit wool. Their hug was awkward at first, airport style, then melted into something firmer, Wesley's hand lingering at Jake's waist. Missed this, he murmured, breath warm against Jake's ear. Dinner first. Sap, Jake teased, hailing a cab to Gramercy Tavern. The meal was a revelation. Seared scallops and heirloom beets, wine flowing like confessions. Wesley opened up over the main course. Filet for him, duck for Jake about the elopement fiasco. We met at a gala. Total rom-com shit. He was this venture capitalist, all charm and cufflinks. Proposed in Napa. Ring from Tiffany's. I said yes because, why not chase the fairy tale? Jake nodded. Fork paused. And the altar? Texts at dawn. Can't go through with it. Need to figure myself out. No call. No face-to-face. Just me, the officiant, and a justice of the peace staring like I'd grown horns. Wesley's voice cracked. Knife scraping porcelain. Turns out, figuring himself out meant his assistant. 24. Female. Jesus. Jake reached across, squeezing his hand. That's not on you. That's cowardice. Wesley flipped his palm up, fingers lacing. Feels like failure. Like I picked wrong from the jump. His eyes searched Jake's. Vulnerable. You? That fade-out guy Derek? Right? What did he say? Jake swallowed, the bistro's murmur fading. Nothing. Radio silence after 2 years. I found out via mutuals he'd shacked up with some influencer in LA. Posted pics from Joshua Tree. All sun-kissed and new chapter. I was the old one. Apparently. Bastard. Wesley's thumb stroked Jake's knuckle. A small anchor. We deserve better than ghosts. The check came. Wesley insisted, slipping the waiter his card with a wink. They spilled onto the sidewalk. Rain slicking the streets, neon reflecting in puddles. Jake's loft was a 10-minute walk, but the pull was magnetic. "Come up?" he asked, casual as coffee. Wesley's grin was wolfish, raindamp hair curling. "Thought you'd never ask." Upstairs, the air hummed with possibility. Jake's space was pure Brooklyn boho, exposed brick, thrift store Eames knockoff, walls papered in gig posters and Polaroids from road trips. Wesley dropped his bag, touring like a critic. "This the infamous design desk?" He poked at Jake's Mac, screensaver swirling with half-finished mock-ups. "Guilty." Jake poured bourbon from a decanter, handing over a tumbler. They clinked, the amber liquid burning sweet. Conversation flowed to the couch, knees brushing, then thighs about dreams deferred. Wesley wanted to ditch finance for music production, had a garage studio back home stacked with synths. Jake confessed his side hustle, a graphic novel about queer ghosts haunting Manhattan, pages gathering dust in a drawer. "You're talented," Wesley said, setting his glass down. "Don't let fear file it away." Jake's laugh was self-deprecating. "Pot, kettle, mister. I could have been a beat maker." The space between them shrank, charged. Wesley leaned in first, tentative, lips brushing Jake's in question. Jake answered fierce, hand cupping his neck, tasting bourbon and want. It escalated slow, shirts tugged over heads, skin fever-hot against cool sheets. Wesley was all lean muscle and tentative touches, whispering Jake's name like a prayer as they moved together, bodies sinking in the dim glow of street lamps. It wasn't just sex. It was reclamation, two survivors mapping unscarred territory. After, tangled in sheets, Wesley traced Jake's collarbone. "This doesn't have to be a one-night conference perk." Jake propped on elbow, heart thudding. "Good. Because I'm all in on sequels." They woke to sunlight slanting through blinds, coffee brewing, pancakes sizzling, Jake's half-assed attempt at brunch. Wesley lingered 2 days, playing tourist, high-line strolls, falafel in the village, a matinee of Rent that left them humming show tunes in bed. Departure loomed like a storm cloud. At the platform, Wesley pulled Jake close, kiss lingering amid Amtrak announcements. "Chicago next. Your turn." "Deal." Jake watched the train pull away, silver streak vanishing into Jersey haze, a grin splitting his face despite the ache. Back at work, the high sustained, sketches bolder, deadlines crushed. Kyle grilled him at their weekly pickup game in Prospect Park. Spill. That post-wedding save turned into what? Jake dribbled, fainting left. Something real. Terrifyingly so. Kyle blocked, grinning. "About time, Harlan. Don't fuck it up." Fate, though, had other scripts. Jake's phone buzzed mid-sketch a fortnight later. Unknown number. Chicago area code. Voicemail. "Hey, it's Marcus. Wes's ex. Heard you're the new guy. We need to talk. He's not ready, trust me. Ice water in veins." Jake deleted it, but the seed of doubt sprouted thorns. Wesley visited again in June, this time unscripted, surprise flight for Pride. They marched the parade route hand in drag, rainbows fluttering, bass thumping from floats. Nights dissolved in rooftop bars and divey karaoke, Wesley belting Tiny Dancer off-key, Jake's laughter echoing off brownstones. "You're my reset button," Wesley confessed one dawn, head on Jake's chest, skyline twinkling beyond the window. But Marcus's shadow lengthened. Texts escalated, he's rebounding. I know him. Jake blocked the number, but paranoia crept. Wesley's late replies during work trips. A hesitant pause before picking up calls. Just stress, he'd say, but his eyes dodged. The fourth crackled with tension. They escaped to Jake's family lake house upstate. Crappy pontoon boat. Fireworks over Saranac Lake. Ethan and Sarah joined. Barbecues smoky with ribs and banter. Wesley fit seamless, charming Jake's folks with tales of Windy City blizzards. But as bottle rockets burst overhead, Marcus called again, new number. Jake stepped away, answering terse. What the fuck do you want? To save you pain. Harlan. Marcus's voice was silk over steel. Ivy League polish. Wes and I. We have history. He came back after the wedding, begging. I turned him down for now. But he's fragile. You'll be collateral. Liar, Jake snarled, but Doubt gnawed. Hanging up, he returned to the dock. Wesley mid-laugh with Sarah. Their eyes met. Jake forced a smile, but the fracture widened. August brought the rupture. Wesley's conference in D.C. overlapped Jake's client pitch. They met midway in Philly, city of brotherly love, irony not lost. Hotel room overlooking Rittenhouse Square, but the air soured quick. Wesley arrived harried. Ty askew. Rough day. Client meltdown. Jake poured wine. Probing gentle. Everything good? You seem distant. Wesley deflated onto the bed, head in hands. It's Marcus. He won't stop. Showing up at my gym, the office lobby. Swears he's changed. Wants another shot. Jake's glass clinked hard on the nightstand. And you, a beat too long. I told him no. But it's exhausting. Like fighting gravity. Gravity. Jake's voice rose, hurt sharpening to anger. Or unfinished business? Wesley surged up, eyes flashing. Don't twist it. You're the one who gets me, Jake. This us is real. They argued then, words like shrapnel. Jake accusing clingy, Wesley calling walls impenetrable. It ended in silence. Backs turned in the king bed. City hum mocking their rift. Morning brought apologies. Makeup sex frantic and forgiving. But the bruise lingered. Back in their cities. Calls grew sparse. Texts laced with subtext. Jake threw himself into work. Pitching a queer romance graphic to his boss, irony bitter. Love as redemption arc, he called it. But nights alone. Doubt whispered fairy tale or fool's errand. September storm broke via email. Wesley's. Subject, we need to talk. Jake's hands shook opening it at his desk. Coffee cold. Jake. I'm sorry. Marcus cornered me last night. Offered stability. The life we planned. I said yes. It's safe. You're everything, but I'm scared. Forgive the cowardice. Wes, the office blurred, chest caving. Betrayal, sharp as the altar lilies Wesley once clutched. Jake didn't reply, didn't rage. Just packed his bag early, walked the Brooklyn Bridge at dusk, Manhattan's lights mocking from across the gray East River. Wind whipped tears he didn't bother wiping. Love, he'd sworn off for good reason. And now, shattered again, irreparable. Or so he thought. Ethan's call came days later. Voice tight. Wes showed up here. Drunk. Said he fucked up. Begging for your number. Jake's laugh was wreckage. Too late, but the heart, treacherous organ, whispered otherwise. October painted the Hudson Valley in fire, oaks ablaze, maples bleeding crimson, as Jake drove the winding backroads to Ethan's for a casual harvest fest. Truth, intervention. His brother, ever the mediator, had ambushed him with the invite, Kyle in tow as backup. "You two are idiots," Ethan had texted. "Fix it or flame out, but do it face to face." Jake gripped the wheel tighter, leaves swirling like confetti from a funeral. The betrayal replayed on loop. Wesley's email, curt as a severance letter, followed by radio silence. No pleas, no grovels, just absence, sharper than screams. Jake had purged his phone, blocked Chicago prefixes, even skipped Pride after-party invites that screamed Wesley's ghost. Work suffered. His graphic novel stalled at Chapter 3, the lovers frozen mid-kiss, dialogue bubbles empty. The lake house loomed, Adirondack Lodge rebuilt after a 90s fire, porch swing creaking in the breeze. Ethan waved from the grill, apron smeared with sauce, Sarah beside him cradling a cider mug. Kyle lounged in a flannel, tossing a frisbee to their golden retriever, Max. No Wesley yet. Jake exhaled, unloading his cooler of IPAs. "Bro," Ethan said, bear hugging him. "Glad you came. Place looks killer, right?" Jake nodded, forcing normalcy. "Yeah. Fall's your season." They bantered about football, Bills versus Jets, eternal rivalry, while Sarah pulled him into kitchen hugs, pressing apple pie slices warm from the oven. Kyle sidled up later, cracking a beer. "Heard from Mr. Windy City." "Nope." Jake's tone clipped, eyes on the tree line. "Ancient history," Kyle hummed skeptical. "History has a way of circling back, especially when it's unfinished." Dusk fell soft, bonfire crackling in the pit, sparks dancing like fireflies. Guests trickled in, neighbors, old college pals bearing charcuterie and ghost stories. Jake nursed his drink, laughter hollow, until headlights pierced the gravel drive. A rental sedan, sleek and silver. Door slammed, footsteps crunched. Wesley emerged from shadows, coat unbuttoned, face gaunt under the fireglow, cheeks hollowed, eyes shadowed like he'd aged a decade in weeks. The circle hushed, eyes darting. Ethan cleared his throat. "Wes." "Good timing, stakes are hot." Wesley nodded, gaze locking on Jake like a heat-seeking missile. "Hey. Can we?" Jake's jaw set, beer bottle cold in fist. "Not here." The group dispersed tactful, Kyle muttering good luck as he herded folks toward Esmores. Jake stalked to the dock, boots thudding on weathered planks, lake lapping black and endless. Wesley followed, hands shoved deep in pockets. "Jake, save it." Jake whirled, voice whip crack. "You chose safe. Stability." "What? Did Marcus polish his halo overnight?" Wesley winced, stepping closer despite the chill. It was a panic move. 24 hours of him spinning gold from shit, promises, the ring, our future. I caved because familiarity's a drug. But it was poison from the start. And I'm what? The antidote? Or just the idiot who fell? Jake's chest heaved, words venom-laced. "You ghosted, Wes. Email like a Dear John from a war you started." Wesley's eyes glistened, firelight reflecting tears. "I know. I'm garbage. But every day since, it's been you, your laugh in my head, your sketches on my fridge. I broke it off with him that night. Told him to lose my number. For real this time. He pulled a crumpled envelope from his coat. Manila. Stuffed with papers. Divorce papers? Nah. Resignation letter. Quit the fund. Moving back east. For a gig at a non-profit affordable housing in Philly. Real work. For us, if you'll have me. Jake stared. Wind keening through pines. Why should I? Trust's not a boomerang. Man. It doesn't come back. Because I see you, Wesley pressed. Voice breaking. The walls you hide behind. The art you bury. You're not jaded, you're guarding a heart big enough for symphonies. I want in. All the way. Silence stretched. Lake mirroring stars. Jake's resolve cracked. A fissure widening to chasm. He closed the gap. Hands fisting Wesley's coat. Pulling him into a kiss fierce as fury. Teeth clashing. Salt mingling with lake mist. Wesley gasped into it. Arms wrapping desperate. Bodies colliding like storm fronts. They broke apart breathless. Foreheads pressed. This doesn't fix it, Jake murmured. Thumb brushing Wesley's jaw. But it's a start. The night unfurled tentative. Rejoining the fire. Hands brushing under blankets. Stories shared in low tones. Ethan shot Jake a nod, told you, while Sarah whispered to Wesley about second chances. Cal just grinned, toasting with marshmallows. Morning brought rain, pattering on the tin roof as they packed. Jake drove Wesley to the Albany airport, wipers swiping rhythm like a metronome. Philly's a train ride, Wesley said, ticket in hand. Weekend visits. Build slow. Jake parked. Engine idling. Slow's good. No more ghosts. Swear. Wesley leaned over the console. Kiss soft now. Promising. You're my home. Jake. The departure lounge swallowed him. But Jake's drive back hummed with possibility. Radio tuned to indie folk. Windows cracked to petrichor. Back in Brooklyn. He dusted off the graphic novel. Pencils flying. Lovers reconciling under harvest moons. Scars bared like badges. November whispered warnings. Though. Marcus. Unhinged. Escalated voicemails veering manic. He's mine. You'll see. Jake changed his number. But unease simmered. Wesley settled in Philly. Apartment a third floor walk-up overlooking Schuylkill River. Walls soon papered with Jake's prints. Weekends wove them tighter. Amtrak rides. Cheesesteaks at Reading Terminal. Nights tangled in thrift sheet comforters. Thanksgiving tested. Jake's family table groaned under turkey and fixings. Wesley beside him. Nervous as a cat in a roomful of rockers. Their mom. Sharp-eyed. Pulled Jake aside post-pie. He's a keeper. Jakey. Eyes only for you. Yeah, Jake said, watching Wesley charm his dad with fly-fishing yarns. He is, but shadows lengthened. A December call from Ethan. Wes okay? Saw a news blip. Some finance douche suicided in Chicago. Marcus. Jake's blood iced. Google confirmed. Venture capitalist found dead in Loop Hotel. Parent overdose. No note, but texts to friends hinted at despair. Lost everything. Him. Jake's gut roiled. Guilt. Relief. Horror churning. Wesley downplayed it over FaceTime. Face pale but resolute. Karma? Or coincidence? Doesn't change us, doesn't it? Jake pressed. City lights haloing his doubt. He died chasing you. Wesley's jaw tightened. No. Chasing control. I won't carry that. Christmas in Philly. Tree strung with mismatched ornaments. Eggnog spiked heavy. They exchanged gifts. Jake a leather-bound sketchbook etched for our story. Wesley a vintage Polaroid, loaded with film. Document the mess, he said, snapping Jake mid-unwrap. Grin boyish. New Year's dawned crisp. Ball drop in Times Square, a crush of confetti and cheers. They kissed at midnight amid the throng. Strangers whooping. Jake's heart swelling. This is it. Real. January frosted the illusion. Wesley's non-profit gig ramped. Hours bleeding into eves. Jake's pitches landed a book deal. Queer ghosts greenlit, but deadlines loomed. Distance frayed threads. Missed trains. Curt texts. Silences pregnant with unspoken. The blow landed Valentine's. Red letter day turned scarlet. Jake planned meticulous. Dinner at Babbo. Reservation months out. Wesley arrived late. Tie loosened. Eyes evading. Bad day, he muttered over risotto. Donor pulled funding. Jake probed gentle. But walls rose. Back at the loft. Unpacking chocolates. A slip. Wesley's phone buzzed. Screen lighting. Miss you. Tonight? No. Not Marcus. But the intimacy stung. Who's M? Jake asked, casual as handing wine. Wesley fumbled, pocketing it. Old friend. Nothing. The lie landed like lead. Argument ignited, accusations flying. Jake's jealousy, suffocating. Wesley's secrecy, self-sabotage. You're waiting for the other shoe, Jake yelled, voice echoing off brick. Proving me right. Love's a lose. Wesley recoiled, hurt flashing. Or you're pushing, scared of winning. He stormed out into sleet-lashed streets. Jake chasing to the stoop. Wes, wait! But the cab door slammed. Taillights vanishing into Manhattan's maw. Jake sank against the rail. Snowflakes melting on lashes. Chest hollow as the skyline's glare. Days dragged. No calls. No texts. Ethan mediated. Go to him. Pride's not just June. Jake boarded the Acela Friday. Heart hammering. Philly's grit welcoming like an old bruise. Wesley's buzzer went unanswered twice. Third try. Door cracked. Face haggard. Stubble thick. What? Fight for us? Jake said, stepping in uninvited. Apartment chaos. Takeout boxes. Scripts scattered. No more running. Wesley deflated onto the couch. Head in hands. M's. Micah. Colleague. Venting sessions turned flirty. I shut it down, but it felt easy. Safe from the intensity. Jake knelt, hands on knees. Intensity's the point. Us against the world, ghosts. X's. Doubts. Eyes met. Raw. I want that. But what if I break you? Then we glue the pieces. Jake pulled him up. Kiss salt stung. Bodies yielding. Forgiveness forged in whispers. Plans sketched on napkins. Couples therapy in the village. Weekends unplugged. Spring bloomed hesitant. Cherry blossoms in Rittenhouse. Jake's novel wrapping proofs. They navigated bumps. Wesley's triggers from Marcus's shadow. Jake's cynicism flaring at slights. But roots deepened. Matching tattoos inked discreet on ribs. Resilient. Script intertwined. June pride pulsed electric. They marched again. Hands clasped. Signs reading love wins. One scar at a time. That night, rooftop under stars, Wesley proposed not ring, but promise. Marry me? Not today, but when we're ready. No altars, just us. Jake's yes was a sob, joy fracturing fear. Yet autumn winds carried whispers. Wesley's promotion demanded DC relocation, tempting salary, impact. 6 months, he said. Then back. Jake nodded, but cracks spiderwebbed. Promise. Swear. November tested vows. Wesley thrived in DC. Calls glowing with anecdotes. Capitol Hill brunches. Policy wins. Jake's book launch dazzled. Brooklyn warehouse party. Toasts to ghosts laid to rest. Wesley flew up, beaming, but eyes held distance, ambitions gleam. Thanksgiving in Albany. Tensions simmered under turkey talk. Ethan's toast, to loves that endure, landed heavy. Jake caught Wesley staring at his phone, thumb hovering. Post-feast, Jake confronted in the guest room. What's pulling you? Wesley sighed, packing sloppily. Opportunity. But it's you I miss. Miss? Or settle for? Jake's voice cracked. Am I the anchor or the afterthought? Words escalated. Old wounds ripped. You're everything, Wesley shouted. But this us it's work. Constant. And that's bad, Jake hurled back. Or just not the fairy tale? Wesley froze, bag zipping final. Maybe I need space. To breathe. The door clicked shut, echo deafening. Jake slid down the wall, sobs racking, betrayals sequel, scripted cruel. Winter buried hope. Wesley's texts trickled, thinking of you. Jake's replies dried. Therapy solo now. Couch confessions to a shrink named Lila. I built him up, just to watch him bail. Spring thawed nothing. Ethan called May, Wes in town. Asks about you. Tell him ghosts don't haunt twice. But June's solstice scorched. Package arrived. Philly postmark. Sketchbook. Pages filled with their story. Last panel blank. Note. Finish it? W. Jake's hand trembled. Pencil hovering. Not end, intermission. Summer sweltered in Brooklyn. Asphalt shimmering like a bad decision. As Jake holed up in his loft. Blinds drawn against the glare. The sketchbook taunted from the coffee table. Wesley's script looping elegant. Their shared history inked in charcoal strokes. Dockside kisses. Pride floats. Tattoo needles pricking promises. The blank panel mocked. A void demanding resolution. Lila, in session 6, leaned forward. What's the next frame? Jake? You or Limbo? Revenge arc, he muttered. But her arched brow called bullshit. Truth? He missed the mess. The way Wesley's laugh rumbled like thunder. How his fingers mapped Jake's spine like Braille secrets. But pride armored thicker than Kevlar. Calls went unreturned. Texts archived unread. Work anchored. Book tour kicked off in July. Coast-to-coast schlep pitching spectral hearts to queer-lit crowds. Chicago stop gut-punched. Wesley's old haunt. Loop towering indifferent. Signing at a indie shop on Halsted. A fan gushed. This captures that post-break rawness. You been there. Jake's pen paused. Still am. Post-reading. Bar crawl with locals led to a dive-blasting Springsteen. Buzzing on Manhattans. Jake spilled to a bartender named Rico. Tattooed vet with a sympathetic squint. About the elopement echo. The DC drift. Love's a battlefield. Rico poured another. But deserters? They circle back when the foxhole's empty. Jake woke hungover in a loop hotel. Phone alive. Missed call. Wesley. Voicemail, voice rough. City noise backdrop. Saw your reading online. Proud. Miss you. Harlan. Call? He didn't. But the dam cracked. Back east. Ethan's barbecue in August forced reckoning. Wesley invited. Neutral ground. Jake arrived armored in sarcasm. Cooler in hand. Lawn sprawled green. Grill smoke curling. Kids shrieking chase. Wesley leaned against the fence. Casual in chinos and tee. Hair sun-bleached. Eyes wary. Ethan clapped backs. Diffusing. Behave, boys. Or no pie. Talk skirted minefields, work wins. Weather woes, till dusk. Fireflies winking. Kyle cornered Jake by the cooler. He's wrecked. DC gigs golden. But he's hollow. Jake swigged beer. His choice. Nah. Fears the puppet master. Kyle nodded toward Wesley. Now tossing a ball with nephews. Grin fleeting. Give him the line. Real or cut. Night deepened. Guests thinned. Jake and Wesley migrated to the porch swing. Chains creaking rhythm. Air hummed with crickets. Lake scent briny. Books killing it, Wesley started. Voice low. Saw the review in Out. A queer odyssey of hauntings and healings. Thanks. Jake's swing nudged his. Accidental. DC treating you king? Wesley's laugh was wry. Policy wonk life. Impactful. Exhausting. But lonely. Your ghost's bigger than mine. Jake's throat bobbed. You bailed. Wes. Space. That's code for out. I panicked. Wesley turned. Eyes earnest in moonlight. The intensity scared me. Real stakes. No escape hatch. Marcus was easy poison. You're the cure that hurts. Hurts. Jake's voice rose. Swing stalling. Try shattered. Man. I opened up scars. Dreams. And you folded. Wesley gripped the chain. Knuckles blanching. I know. Therapy's unpacking it. Daddy issues. Abandonment crap. But losing you? That's the real fracture. He reached. Hesitant. Jake didn't pull away. Fingers laced. Pulse sinking. I'm all in now. Quit DC end of month. Back to Philly. For keeps. Jake searched his face. Vulnerability a mirror. Prove it. Wesley nodded. Pulling a key from his pocket, brass. Worn. Your loft. Sublet fell through. Couch surfed with Kyle. Been crashing there. Waiting. Jake's breath hitched. Squatter. Yours. Wesley's kiss was tentative. Porch light haloing. Jake met it halfway. Forgiveness blooming slow. Lips parting. Hands roaming familiar. Chains swayed gentle as they deepened. World narrowing to heartbeat. Fall rekindled deliberate. Philly weekends stretched to midweeks. Jake's Amtrak pass punched ragged. They nested Wesley's walk-up. Bookshelves crammed. Kitchen experiments yielding charred paella and triumphs like berry cobbler. Therapy tandem now. Lila's office a safe harbor. Vulnerability's the bridge, she'd say. As they unpack triggers, Jake's fade fear. Wesley's flight reflex. October harvest moon lit a road trip New England leaf peeper. B&B hops from Vermont to Maine. Acadia trails crunched underfoot. Lobster boils steamy. Nights in clawfoot tubs soapy and slow. At Cadillac Mountain Summit. Dawn gilding the Atlantic. Wesley knelt, not proposal, but pledge, no more detours. You're my north. Jake pulled him up. Wind whipped. And you're my wild. November elections buzzed. They volunteered canvass. Door-to-doors in Philly row homes, knocking for equality measures. Victory night. Election watch party at a queer bar. Cheers erupting as results tallied. High on hope, they stumbled home. Bodies electric. Love-making fervent. Walls shaking. Cries muffled in pillows. December dusted snow. Christmas markets twinkled. Glühwein warming palms. Jake's family Albany bound. Wesley folding seamless, caroling off-key. Gift-wrap disasters. New Year's in the Poconos. Cabin rented. Fireplace roaring. Champagne fizzing. Ball drop via TV. They toasted naked under quilts. To us, unbreakable. Winter gripped. But warmth held. Jake's sequel pitched. Hearts unhaunted. Wesley beta reading. Notes scribbled loving. More heat here. Like us. Therapy tapered. Scars faded to stories. Spring surged. Cherry blossoms. Baseball opener. Phillies versus Mets. Bleachers rowdy. Jake sketched stadium vignettes. Wesley snapping candids. May brought milestone anniversary. 1 year post-wedding spark. Dinner at that roadside diner. Full circle. Eggs runny. Coffee hot. To heartbreak's gift, Wesley toasted. Jake clinked. I soft. To the boy who changed everything. June pride amplified. Floats louder. Crowds denser. They led a contingent for their nonprofit alliance. Signs bold. Love rebuilt. Post-march. Rooftop after-party. Skyline fireworks. Bodies swaying to EDM. Wesley pulled Jake aside. Ring box velvet in palm. Simple band. White gold etched resilient. Marry me, he whispered. City pulse thrumming. No rush. But forever. Tears pricked. Jake's yes was fierce. Ring slipping cool onto finger. Cheers erupted. Friends who'd guarded their saga. Ethan hoisting beers. Finally, summer solstice sealed. Small ceremony. Hudson Valley barn, there's now. Rented back. Guests intimate. Family. Kyle toasting best man style. From wingman to witness. Sarah officiating with vows hand-scrawled. Jake in linen. Wesley in seersucker. Peonies arched. Fairy lights twinkling. Rings exchanged under sunset. Kiss ceiling, crowd whooping. Band striking up at last. Honeymoon pocketed. Road trip southwest. Canyons carving red. Stars blanketing deserts. Antelope slots glow ethereal. Horseshoe bend vertigo thrill. Nights in teepees. Loving lazy. Dawn hikes. Dusk stargazing. Fall anchored. Co-op apartment hunt. Center City brownstone with garden patch. Boxes unpacked amid laughter. Walls painted sage. Jake's trilogy wrapped. Wesley's program expanded. Housing for queer youth. Impact rippling. November chill nipped. Thanksgiving sprawled. Tables merged. Families blending. Ethan's twins toddled. Cake smeared on chins. Toasts flowed. To kin. Blood and chosen. Winter whispered legacies. Christmas Eve. Snow blanketing stoops. They volunteered shelter, serving stew to the invisible. Home late. Cocoa steaming. Wesley mused. This us. It's the real magic. Jake nodded. Head on shoulder. From ashes. Phoenix. New Year's dawned resolute. Resolutions scrawled joint. Travel Morocco. Adopt a mutt. Write our story. Ball drop kissed in. promises etched. Yet life layered tests. Spring storm. Jake's diagnosis, testicular cancer, early, treatable. Wesley's vigil iron, chemo runs, broth simmering, hair shaved solidarity. We're warriors, he'd say, bald heads bumping gentle. Summer surgery cleared, scars new badges. Pride march triumphant, signs updated, love endures. Book tour duo now. Wesley roadie signings packed, fans queuing for dual autographs. Fall harvest yielded bounty. Pregnancy news no. Adoption match. Boy. 5. Foster shuffled. Eyes wide. Named Theo after Wesley's granddad. Homecoming chaos. Finger paints. Bedtime stories. Theo's giggles healing deeper. November elections. They voted tandem. Theo on shoulders. Victory or not. Hope held. Winter wrapped cozy. Holidays hybrid. Albany Philly shuttle. Theo's first snowman lopsided. Joy pure. Spring bloomed full. Theo's school play. Tree in Wizard of Oz. Jake filming teary. Pride float family debut. Rainbows tripled. Summer solstice circled. Second anniversary. Barn revisit. Vows renewed casual. Picnic under arch. Theo chasing fireflies. Still yes, they chorused. Rings glinting. Life's tapestry wove. Twists tamed. Threads strong. Jake's novels stacked shelves. Wesley's org scaled national. Theo thrived. Questions curious. How'd you meet? Dads. Wesley's grin. At a wedding. Heartbreak turned home. Fall leaves danced. November gathered. Thanksgiving epic. Tables groaning. Toasts echoed. To stories unfinished. Winter twinkled. Holidays lit. Theo's wonder endless. New Year's pledged. More chapters. Through it, love's core burned steady. Dramatic. Emotional. Romantic. Human. From jaded surrender to unbreakable union, they'd rewritten the script. Years layered like sedimentary rock. Each stratum a testament to endurance. Theo turned 8 in a backyard bash. Philly rowhouse garden strung with piñatas and balloons. Kids shrieking as candy rained. Jake manned the grill. Aprons smeared. Wesley refereed sack races. Whistle shrill. Ethan and Sarah's crew piled in from Seattle. Twins now lanky tweens trading Pokemon cards with Theo. Cal. Ever the uncle. Arrived with tattoos fresh. Auntie K inked ironic on his forearm. Bearing a cake tiered like a graphic novel stack. Speech! The crowd chanted as candles guttered. Theo beamed gap-toothed. Flanked by dads. Jake cleared his throat. Voice thick. Kiddo. You're the plot twist we didn't see coming. But the best kind. Full of heart and hijinks. Wesley squeezed his hand under the table. To Theo, our hero's journey. Cheers erupted. Forks diving into chocolate. Later, tucking Theo in star chart on ceiling. Stuffed T-Rex clutched. Wesley whispered, "We're nailing this dad thing." Jake kissed his temple. Team Harlan Grant. Unstoppable. Fall deepened hues. October trails called. Wissahickon woods crunching underfoot. Theo scampering ahead with binoculars. Spotting cardinals. Jake's hand in Wesley's swung easy. Rings clinking soft. Remember our first hike? Post-betrayal boot camp. Wesley chuckled. You called it trust-building cardio. Nearly broke me. Nah. Forged us. Jake pulled him close. Theo's whoop echoing distant. Worth every blister. November's chill heralded holidays. Thanksgiving sprawl now tradition. Albany mothership. Flights booked months out. Their mom. Silver-streaked and spry. Orchestrated like a general. Turkey brined. Pies lattice perfected. Dad manned the TV. Football blaring. Theo glued to uncle's laps dissecting plays. Evening devolved to charades. Wesley miming Brokeback Mountain with exaggerated drawl. Jake collapsing in hysterics. Post-feast. Porch rockers creaked. Stars pricked velvet. "Proud of you boys," Mom said. Shawl wrapped. "From that wedding wreckage to this? Magic." Ethan clinked mugs. To Harlan's, queer and queerer. Winter Wonderland. Theo's school pageant. Elf in tinsel. Stealing scenes. Christmas market jaunts. Glühwein mulled. Ornaments hand-painted. Theo's reindeer wonky. Cherished. New Year's quieted. Fire pit in garden. Theo fizzing sparklers. Parents toasting under midnight moon. To chapters closing. New pages turning. Spring unfurled tentative. Jake's latest novel, Echoes Eternal. Theo-inspired hit shelves to acclaim. Launch in D.C. Wesley reading excerpt on stage. Voice velvet. Family isn't blood. It's the haunt that stays. Q&A brimmed questions. Theo fidgeting in wings. Proud. Pride June crescendoed. Family float. Theo waving rainbow flag. Chants rhythmic. Post-March block party. Jake and Wesley slow dance to Etta James. Theo giggling between legs. Summer sojourned west. National Parks loop. Theo's journal doodled with geysers and hoodoos. Zion Slot Canyon squeezed tight. Metaphor unspoken. We've navigated narrower, Wesley murmured. Hand squeezing Jake's. Fall anchored routines. Theo's soccer. Cleats muddy. Jake's adjunct gig at UPenn. Lecturing graphic memoirs. Wesley's TEDx talk on queer housing. Viral ripple. November gathered harvest. Thanksgiving Albany. Theo's pie attempt pumpkin exploded. Laughter cleanup. Winter whispered milestones. Theo's 10th. Laser tag arena. Dad's ambushed neon. Holidays hybridized. Philly tree trimming. Albany feast. New Year's vision boarded. Family safari. Jake's screenplay pitch. Life's undercurrents stirred. Though. Spring health scare. Wesley's checkup flagged arrhythmia. Pacemaker whisper. Surgery minor. Recovery couchbound with Theo's forts and Jake's broths. Scared me. Jake confessed post-op. Monitors beeping soft. Wesley gripped his hand. Us? Bulletproof. Summer healed. Beach boardwalk. Atlantic waves crashing. Theo body surfing fearless. Evening's porch swayed. Ice cream dripping. Theo's tales schoolyard epic. Fall's equinox balanced. Theo's coming out curiosity. Am I like you? Met gentle. You're you, kid. Love's the constant. Pride mini version. School ally club. November's gratitude journaled. Entries scrawled, Theo. Dad's hugs. Jake. Wesley's laugh. Wesley. Jake's art. Winter wrapped introspective. Holidays heartfelt. Theo's letter to Santa queer inclusive. New Year's reflected. A decade in, Wesley said. Clock striking. Still falling. Spring bloomed audacious. Theo's bar mitzvah blended right. Rabbi queer. Philly synagogue rainbow draped. Vows personal. Theo's speech. My dad's taught resilience. Tears collective. Pride amplified. Intergenerational march. Theo MCING youth stage. Summer adventured Europe. Paris crepes. Rome ruins. Theo's sketchbook mirroring Jake's. Fall's harvest yielded. Wesley's org nationalized. Jake's film greenlit. Spectral Hearts adaptation. November Thanksgiving epic. Extended kin. Toasts teary. Winter's solstice pondered legacy. Theo's first crush. Boy from chess club navigated tender. Holidays glowed. New Year's dreamed. Grandkids? World tour. Years cascaded. Theo teen tormented. Braces glinting. Crushes crashing. Jake's Oscar nod screenplay win. Speech dedicating to Wes, my co-writer. Wesley's knighthood. Humanitarian honor. Philly parade. Fall 50s beckoned. Silver threading hair. Lines etching laughs. November reflections. Album leafed. Wedding snap faded. Theo's grad cap crisp. Winter wisdom. Holidays heirloomed. Theo home from college MIT bound. Engineering dreams. New Year's eldered. Legacies love, Jake said. Wes nodding. Spring 60s softened. Retirements phased, Jake mentoring. Wesley consulting. Pride wheeled. Float grandkids piloted. Theo's twins waving. Summer 60th. Vow renewal. Original barn. Ethan officiating hoary. Guests generational. Theo toasting. From heartbreak to hearth. Fall's foliage framed. November walks. Canes tapping. Hands clasped. Thanksgiving presided, grandkids chaos cherished. Winter's hearth warmed. Holidays narrated. Stories spun. New Year's whispered. Eternal echo. Decades distilled. From that shattered flute. A symphony. Jake and Wesley. Gray and graceful. Porch swinging at dusk. Theo's visits. Grandkids tumbling. Gave up on love? Jake mused. Head on shoulder. Wesley's kiss featherlight. Till you. Stars wheeled. Legacy lingered, dramatic, emotional, romantic, human. In America's heartland sprawl, from Brooklyn grit to Philly pulse, they'd etched indelible. Love, not conquered, but constant. Epilogue framed final. Nursing home tandem, 90s frail but fierce. Theo bedside, stories retold. Last breath synced, Jake first. Wesley following dawn, hands entwined. Rings dull but defiant. Funeral joint, Hudson Valley. Barn eternal. Toasts echoed. They changed everything. And in the ether. Ghosts grinned, hauntings healed. Hearts whole.